Hey y'all, welcome to the Moving with Millennials podcast with your favorite millennial realtors.
We are 4 top producing agents in the DFW area, and we are ready to share the good, bad, and the real life of real estate.
Whether you're thinking about getting into real estate, already an agent, or just curious about what your agent really does, join us.
Tune in every Wednesday to see what it's really like to be on this side of the transaction. Hey y'all, welcome to this week's Moving with Millennials.
Hello.
All right, we have a good one for you. This is for Texas homeowners or Texas agents because now is the time to be thinking of your homestead exemptions. So this gives you a property break on your taxes. We're going to talk about that a little more and why it's important that if you are living in the property that you bought or that you purchased and own, that you are filing for this homestead exemption. So why don't we start with talking about what is the homestead exemption, what is it good for, who wants to kind of talk about that?
All I can say is that every time I hear the word homestead, I think of that game Oregon Trail. That we really all have. Like that's like
what
in my head.
Oh, Oregon Trail.
I
yeah.
forget that you're younger than us.
Yeah, I'm like what?
This is like 1 or 2 years.
It's a form of tax relief, and if you bought the year before, you file for the homestead exemption to save on your taxes. And before this year, what was it?
Yeah, starting this year.
Yeah, starting this year, you had to be in the property January 1. This year, you at any
Changing
time,
a little bit. Yeah,
you can buy at any point and still file for that tax year.
So kind of reiterating what Maggie just said, if you bought a home in 2021, so you were a new homeowner or you purchased a home in 2021 that you are residing in, or even because I always talk about the homestead exemption around this time of year, and I get people who I remind every single one of my clients. So they're not clients of mine, but they're like, hey, I bought my home 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, wow, you could have been saving money this whole time. So even if you bought your home prior to 2021 and you haven't filed for the homestead, you can still file for it and go ahead and do. Fortunately, I think they can go back maybe 2 years and you can get a refund for any taxes you're owed.
Retroactive is 2 years. 2
years? Okay, great. So you can do that. Unfortunatally, past that, you just weren't able to get that. Yeah.
You'll have to do it on your next house.
So the homestead exemption, basically, you do get a portion of your home or property taxes reduced. I believe it's on the county portion. Don't quote me on that. Just because it varies also. Yeah. Heard it on Friends. No. Because it does, I think, vary county by county where that comes off. But just know that you do get an exemption off those property taxes. But why I think it's also important that you file for the homestead exemption is it puts a cap on your homes, on your assessed value, where they cannot assess your home value more than 10% year over year. And in this market that we're in, property values are definitely going up more than 10% year over year right now. So you want to make sure you have that cap on your property taxes so your assessed value doesn't go up too high and your taxes get to the point that you can't pay them or gets too high. So
basically priced out of your own home.
Exactly. Yeah. So
or it's free to apply. So
I think let's reiterate that it's how much to
free.
It's free.
And you will get a bunch of like scam newsletter, like
junk mail,
mailer, junk mails, like with a fee saying, "Hey, I'll file your homestead or exemption for you."
You do it for free.
Yeah.
It's
free. It's easy to do. We'll
Call
send
us.
you a quick
we can
link.
help you.
I always send a reminder at the beginning of the year with a link, and then I remind them before the due date, which we were just talking about. There is no.
So there is right now. So if you bought a home in 2021 or before, let's talk about that, and then we'll talk how 2022 this is changing. Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little more at the end. But if you are one of our clients, we will send you the link. We will send you the, I send actually the form with some information about homestead exemption. So you will get that from us. If you aren't one of our clients and you're unsure of what to do, still reach out to us. We will send it to you because it is free to do. You just have to know where to find the form on the county appraisal district, and we know how to do that. So yes, 100% free. You can't file until January 1st, which you're now within. If you're listening now, you're well within that time period. If you bought the home prior to, and you do have until April 30th to file for the homestead exemption to get the tax exemption starting this year. Otherwise, if you file past that, you probably won't get it for this year. You wouldn't be able to refile, and you could file maybe sooner, but there's a chance that your current property taxes aren't going to have that homestead exemption.
Right.
Exactly. So there is a deadline. And then who all qualifies for the homestead exemption?
Every homeowner, as long as it's your primary residence. So you cannot file your homestead on an investment property. Right. Anything like that. It has to be your primary residence.
Yep. Yes. And your home address, your primary home address has to be on your driver's license. So if you just bought and you haven't updated your driver's license, you need to update that so it shows the property address.
Because they actually ask for you to send a copy with the form. So that means you can only file homestead exemption on one of your properties that you own in
primary
Texas.
homestead.
Yeah, and it should be, and it needs to be the one that you reside in. And then also just know that there are other homestead exemptions. I'm just gonna touch base on them. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
There's other property exemptions that you could also file for. So there's the 65 and older exemption. There are some military disability exemptions that you can file for. There's agricultural exemptions. So we're not going to dive too much into those, but I just want to throw out there that go ahead and reach out to your county appraisal district. And on that form, it's going to ask you, do you qualify also for these as well? So you can also file for some additional ones, but the homestead is one that anybody who owns their house and they live in it should be filing for it.
Yes.
Right.
So, and then how do I get a homestead exemption? So again, you got to file around January 1st and you have until April 30th to do so. And again, it's as easy as filling out a piece of paper, showing a copy of your driver's license and submitting that to the county appraisal district. So
super easy.
Yep. And then if you miss a deadline, what happens if you miss that April 30th deadline?
I feel like you still
filing for next year.
Are they really that strict about it?
Yeah,
yes.
I've had someone turn down for it because they were a weekend later or something.
Yeah, so you may file for homestead exemption up to 1 year after the delinquency date, usually February 1st. If you are 65 or older or disabled, you must apply for the exemption no later than 1 year from your 65th birthday.
Yes. So yeah, the 65 I think has definitely more of a deadline on that. Homestead, like I said, even if it was 5 years ago and you missed it, you just may not get that homestead exemption for the year that you're filing. If you miss that deadline. So that's changed. Now with the dates and stuff moving forward, so if you buy a home in 2022, moving forward and on, how has that changed a little bit?
As soon as you buy, that's when you can file now. So if you buy, let's say, September of 2022, you can file that year now for that exemption for the rest of the year.
Yes. So you no longer have to wait till January 1st of the next year. You can immediately file for the homestead. So again, if you're working with one of us, we're going to send you that reminder. Hey, make sure you're filing for that homestead exemption immediately if you're residing in the home. So that's effective January 1st, 2022 and on. You can get that exemption immediately.
That's going to throw me off because I always email clients in January and right before April 30th. But now, different buyers, if they buy June,
I think
July.
you can still do it January 1st, too. And maybe, August 15th, send it. Just a reminder.
Just a reminder,
I'll have to do it twice a year,
Hey, if you haven't done this yet, make sure you do it.
It'll just have to be part of our post-close or something. So,
yeah. I sent this around the same time that I started talking about, protesting your property taxes.
Yeah.
They're kind of all in the same time period.
Right.
Well, or my follow-up for this isn't within that same time period.
Right, and that was kind of the next thing I was going to mention, which is closer to you should be getting, usually you get your tax bill around, we got them kind of late this year. Usually it's around October. We didn't get our tax bill until December this year. I guess things are a little behind. So if you do get that tax bill, which I guess since we're talking property taxes, a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, do I need to pay these property taxes? And I remind them, no, remember every month, part of your mortgage payment is going into what's called an escrow account. And part of that escrow account is paying for your property taxes. So your lender also gets a copy of the tax bill. They're going to be responsible for making that payment. Now, it doesn't hurt to reaching out to your mortgage company and just say, hey, just making sure you got this bill and it's getting paid, because obviously you want to make sure the taxes are getting paid, but you don't need to make that payment. Now, they will reach out to you if the escrow account is short. So if there's not enough funds to cover the taxes, they'll say, hey, by the way, you owe an additional $500, whatever it is. You'll either pay that in one lump sum, or they'll give you an option to maybe pay it, split it, spread it out over the next 12 months.
And rarely you'll get money back. Like if your escrow has too much, they will send you a check for that rebate, or they'll ask you if you just want to roll it into the next year.
Yeah. Which I tell my clients, I'm like, if they say they're going to send you money back, just send it right back. Let them cut the check, but send it back, because it's essentially a savings account that they're holding on to pay those taxes and insurance, because I feel like if you go to cash it, like $1,000 check, and then next year they ask you for that $1,000 back, it's just it happens.
Or
so
just put it towards an extra payment or something. Like
right.
Leave it towards
exactly
your home.
So.
And anytime you get something in the mail about your loan or like refinancing or about taxes, I would ask you or reach out to your real estate agent or your lender just to verify that it's not some sort of scam or trying to get your money or
absolutely.
Especially with the homes. I had a client who she got like 7 homestead flyers.
Yep.
I'm like, don't, and they're all like, we can do it for $25. I'm like, don't, literally just chuck those in the mail, and on January 1st we will do it for free. I will walk you through it. And we'll
if it were
this, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if Brian didn't have me, he'd be the one to pay that, because he just filed for a DBA, like a doing business as with the county, and that's like $25 to file your DBA. So he went online to a company that would file the DBA for you. He paid $120 to get the form and like this package and stuff. Well, he did it because he didn't want to have to go up to the county to file. Well, guess what? He got all the paperwork and he still had to go to the county to file. Jeez. And then pay $25 to file it. I was like, Brian, like, what? So he would be the guy that pays the $25 to file it. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yes, it is free. If you bought a house prior to 2021 or before, you have now until April 30th to go ahead and file for that homestead. Reach out to us if you want the form, because again, do not pay anybody. And then get that tax benefit on your taxes for sure. And I think it's important. Maybe we talk about like protesting. Do we want to talk today about protesting property taxes?
Could. I mean, it's short and sweet kind of, and this one's kind of a short episode.
Yeah. So like I said, tax bills come out October, but then your assessed value. So when we talk about the value of your home, there's 3 different values, right? There's the market value, what someone's willing to pay, what you're willing to sell for, appraisal value, which is what that one appraiser, it's their one opinion that they appraise your property for, and then you have assessed value. Assessed value is what the tax appraisal or the county appraisal district uses to tax you on your properties. A lot of people think that because their assessed value, let's just say, is $250, their home is worth $250, and I'm like, absolutely not. You want that to be lower than what your home is actually worth, market value.
But the county is motivated for it to be higher. So the motivations are they're like opposing forces, basically. Like you want your value to be low, but of course the county, to collect taxes, wants that to be high. So sometimes those values do become, I think, inflated.
Yeah.
More often than not, that's what happens. It's like, oh, that's higher than what I could. And so it's like, that's your job in protesting them, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And same thing, that is actually, I mean, it can be a very easy process. Some counties are a little bit different. I know some require you to basically go in front of
the appraisal board
to kind of plead your case. And then some can do it all virtually or just through email and whatnot. But there's going to be some specific forms to fill out. And, we've had luck in protesting ours previously, so I can speak from personal experience, what we did. You can look up other properties' values. So it's we knew in our neighborhood that the street behind us, there was a house that floor plan wise was the exact same as ours and had sold. So it's we looked at what it had sold for, what it was under the market, on the market for. Looked at the pictures online, and then we submitted pictures of our house we are not as up to date as this pretty house that just sold, and we were being assessed at the same value basically as what their assessed value was. So it's ours should come down. To get ours to look like that, we would need to spend $40,000 or $50,000.
Right.
So that was how we proved if you're assessing this one at that, and that's the benchmark, we look and we're not as updated as that. So our value should be lower. So that's how we have
you're
ours
only the
lower.
street behind too.
Right,
It's not you were 3 blocks down.
No.
So you're saying instead of using market value comps, you're using assessed value as your comps.
Yes.
What you're comparing to. I love that. That's exactly what I do, and I recommend my clients to do. Yeah. Because you're right. If you're saying the home is worth this and it's exactly the same, why wouldn't mine be worth the same to you? Because it's really hard to use market comps right now because if I were to give you your market value, it probably is higher than a lot of times the assessed value, so it's hard.
County doesn't know sold comps. So so Texas is what's called a non-disclosure state. So once the sale is recorded, the deed is recorded with the county, but the actual sales price is not recorded with the county. So as they're putting out these appraisals, they're looking at what homes are listed for, but they don't know sold prices. So of course, right now they're anticipating that those homes are going drastically above list price because they see all the same news and updates that most people do. So they're anticipating that your value should be higher, but it's like we can look at sold values, but I'd rather compare it against another appraised value, like you just said.
Right.
But I kind of look at it as if I give them someone else's like sold comp and that person's trying to fight their value, I've kind of like have screwed that person over if I gave the county their like the county then I'm sure tracks all those. Like when you tell them like this is a sold comp, I'm sure they've got some sort of system where they track that as closely as they possibly can.
Sure. We also got something in the mail once we closed on this property. They were asking what we bought it for.
Yes,
so if you
they
get
do.
that,
Never
do not
fill that
fill
out.
it out.
People
Never,
do not.
never.
Do not.
Yeah.
Never.
And it does.
And I got like 3 or 4 of them. Like
Yeah.
they just kept going after like, tell us what you bought your house for. Tell us, and it's like, no.
And it's
Don't
not
fill
a
it out.
scam. Like it is from the county, so it's like
Yes.
all legit. But it's optional to fill it out. And it asks them like demographic questions. So a lot of times people think like, oh, it's like for the census or something. Like I've got to fill this out. You do not have to fill it out. It is none of their business what you purchased your home for.
Right.
Yeah.
They're doing it. They will only use it against you.
Yes.
But it is what it is because, again, they want to know what you paid for the house because that's how they're going to assess it.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about protesting property taxes a little more. Like I've got some tips here. So deadlines, first of all, vary county to county. So check with the county or check with us. But you will get your assessed value usually at the beginning of the year. And as early as February, I've seen. But usually you get it probably closer to like March, April timeframe, especially with all the delays going on. And then from there, you usually have 30 days after you get your assessed value, what they're proposing the value of your home to be for them to, to pay taxes on or to charge you in taxes.
Right.
Or there's a deadline. And again, it does vary county to county. Usually it's somewhere around May, 1st to 15th to 30th when you can protest them. So pay attention to the deadline and when you can protest them because that is super important that you do it during that deadline. If you do plan to protest your taxes, I would say the very first thing you do is contact one of us. Ask us, hey, help me out here. We're going to give you some tips right now, but we can either help you with pulling market values because we do have access to the sold comps. We may even tell you, we never tell you what to pay, tell them what to pay for the property, what you paid for the property. But if your assessed value is higher than what you paid for your property, then absolutely you will disclose to them what you paid for your property.
If you purchased it within the last year, that's important to know too. Like if within the past year, that's reasonable to say, like you're assessing it at $350, but within the past year, I only paid $295. Like again, I think they're probably going to really amplify this year because they're expecting all these homes with bidding wars and all these homes went, $100,000
They know the values
over.
are going up.
Yeah. So I bet that they try to max out the 10% rule for most.
Absolutely. So contact us. Let us know. We will get you the comparable house values or we'll kind of help you maybe and pull some of the assessed values to kind of use for your leverage because you want to bring that when you are protesting. What's the next thing you want to bring when you protest your property taxes?
Time-stamped photos and repair estimates for defects of the house that devalue the property.
Yeah, so anything that you can say that that it needs, a whole all flooring and all that's in not the best condition or it's just super outdated. You can always get a contractor out, to give you an estimate, say, hey, it's going to cost $15,000 to replace all of this. Use that to your advantage. You don't have to do the repairs. It's just showing them like, hey, because I don't have updated, kitchen appliances, things like that, it's actually devaluing the property. So it's ways to show them that the value isn't what they're assuming it to be.
Yeah, and that's especially if you think your home is maybe less improved than the average in your neighborhood. Like if you know that like a lot of the people in your neighborhood have done remodels, or if you live in a neighborhood that there's been like a lot of flips and maybe your home isn't, you haven't done that, then that's especially when that is your ammunition because across the neighborhood, when they're assessing that value, yours is below average, which isn't a bad thing in that case.
Right.
Yep. And then what's the next one, Maggie?
Sorry.
Market value.
So then next thing to bring if you're going to protest.
So market value of properties similar to yours in your neighborhood. So like comps, these values can be found on your county appraisal district website.
So what we mean by the market values is the appraised value, yes, but they call it market value as well on their county appraisal district website. So you want to bring that. We actually have a little cheat sheet we can provide you guys that helps you pull those because you want to try to get ones that are similar to what your property is as well.
And looks like.
Exactly. Yep. And then the next thing you want to bring when you protest your property tax is your sales contract.
Yeah, if you purchased within the last year, a sales contract is important if it's lower than what you purchased it for. If it's high, say that you purchased it for more than what they're assessing it, do not give that to them.
Right.
Only if it is less. If your purchase price was lower, then absolutely.
Yeah, and if you are you go to a formal hearing and you do have to be in front of a board, and they do, because they will, it's a little harsh. I've had some clients call me and go, oh my gosh, like that's intense getting up there. They're like, they kept asking me what I paid for my house,
Never tell them.
And I said, just respond. That's not public information. It's not important information, or not that I wouldn't say that's not important information. Just say that that's not information, that needs to be disclosed. So just stick to your gun with it, because they will try to get that out of you.
They badgered.
Because of course they want to try to fight their value. So it is a little intense. Now, I will throw it out there. You can hire companies to protest your property taxes for you. And I have sent people to a company that does it. I've gotten some good response from it, because what happens is they only get paid if they actually save you on property taxes. So say they saved you $500 for the year, they get maybe $200 of those. So you could hire people to protest for you if you don't feel confident enough to go up in front of a appraisal board and fight, the value, then you can do that. So, and then I also want to remind you guys about the 10% rule. So if you filed for the homestead exemption, this is probably the number one reason why you should protest your property taxes. Because if you do pay attention to the assessed values, I have seen people give me their taxes, and the property assessment went up more than 10%. And I'm like, immediately you need to tell them they cannot go up more than 10%. So they try to sneak that in there.
Or just something. No, I mean, you wouldn't know that unless you listen to this or you talk to us or have a realtor on your side. So that's very important.
Yep. So just remember that your homestead, it cannot go up more than 10% each year. Right. So, and then the difference between, so you have different reviews. So like I mentioned, you have a formal hearing and an informal hearing. So if you do decide you want to protest your property taxes, either the hearings are held at your county appraisal district where you sit in front of a board, or you can also do your CAD kind of more of informal, where you meet with an office appraiser one-on-one, and then from there you kind of protest with just one person. So yeah, but that
same website for all those county appraisal districts. So each county has their own appraisal district website, so you can find the forms to protest. You can also find the forms for homestead exemption, 65 and up exemption, military disability. All of that is on your county appraisal district website.
Yep, absolutely. So
which I know that like we said, when we send out those emails for reminders for clients, we include those websites. I include those links. I include the pages, all of that good stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Same. So those are our tips when it comes to make sure you're filing for your homestead exemption. If you've bought a house 2021 or even before then, you have that exemption on there. If you're not sure that you had the homestead exemption, we can look it up for you. So just message us, let us know your address. We'll look it up and we can confirm either that you filed for it already. It is public knowledge, but if you don't know where to find it, we know where to find it. And then when it comes time to protest your property taxes, again, use this as a resource. We're not here to just sell and help you sell real estate. We want to help, again, protect your investment. So just let us know, and we're happy to help with the protesting process as well. So, all right. That one was a fun one.
Yes,
so
we
short
will
and
see
sweet.
you all next time.
All right,
We'll
bye,
see you next week. Bye.